Hello friends, today we will learn about cellular communication. An important aspect of cell communication is cell signaling. The topic has been discussed in details. Here, an important concept of cell signaling is signal transduction. Signaling cell sends a signal to a target cell via a signal molecule. Signal molecule carries a message to the target cell. Target cell detects the signal molecule, that means receives the message. Receptor proteins found on the target cell or receiver recognize and respond specifically to the signal molecule. The mechanism of the process entails sending of the signals which act over long and short distances. There are four categories of signaling. First is neuronal communication, endocrine communication, paracrine and autocrine communication. First, we should know about neuronal communication. Neuronal delivering messages across long distances acts quickly. Conversion of electrical impulses to chemical and vice versa. For example, poke big toe. Stimulus travels along nerves to the brain and converts a stimulus that travels back to the toe, indicating pain. Endocrine communication. Long distance signaling, very often it occurs through the systemic circulation, hormones releasing into the bloodstream and bind to receptor to the sites. Example, pancreas producing insulin and which regulates glucose uptake in cells all over the body. Let's know about paracrine and autocrine communication. Paracrine signaling in the neighborhood or communication to neighboring cells act as local mediators to influence neighboring cells released to the local extracellular space depend upon diffusion and regulated by factors that influence diffusion distance or rate. Paracrine versus autocrine. Autocrine signaling. A certain type of cell will release the signal and the same type of cell will respond to the signal. Paracrine signaling. A certain type of cell will release the signal and a different type of cell will respond to the signal. For example, epithelial communicates with a smooth muscle cell. Now come to contact dependent communication. That means juxtacrine. It occurs between two cells that are next to each other. Difference between juxtacrine and paracrine is that a cell is never released into the extracellular space. The two cells, in a sense, hold hands. They must be adjacent and in direct contact with one another. Example occurs it occurs when WBC are trying to leave the circulation and enter the site of injury. Signaling molecules expressed on the surface of the epithelial cells are not released into the bloodstream but stick to their cell surface. The WBCs notice the signal and bind so that the cell can be extravasated into the infection sites. Cell adhesion and cell molecules. Cell adhesion and adhesion molecules. Cell adhesion is the binding of a cell to a surface, extracellular matrix, or another cell using cell adhesion molecules such as selections, integrins, and cadherins. Correct cellular adhesion is essential in maintaining multicellular structure. Cellular adhesion can think cytoplasm of cells and can be involved in signal transduction. Cell adhesion molecule involved in the process are first hydrolyzed by extracellular enzymes. Cell adhesion is directly to protein adsorption. Various classes of cell adhesion molecules are found on cells. They include cadherin. First of all, we should know about cadherin. Cadherin, basically required in cell-cell adhesion, it is calcium dependent in nature. Over 40 different cadherins are known. Example include E cadherin, P cadherin like this. CAMP, CMPs are major molecules of cell-cell adhesion, that is homophilic. Tissues have specialized junctions made of cadherins. Cadherin containing junctions. Let's know about cadherin containing junctions. There are two major types: adherin junction, desmosomes. Adherin Adherens junction. A continuous band of cadherins is found in epithelial cells. It connects cells tightly and interacts with the axon portion of the cytoskeleton. Desmosomes. It is found in high densities in epithelial tissue, wherein cells attach via cadherins and protein plaques that attach to the plasma membrane and to intermediate filaments within the cytoskeleton. Is a superfamily of CAMPs. Again required in cell-cell adhesion. It is however calcium independent. Example include NCMP, VCAMP. Some are found in enriched on specific cell type NCAMP. Integrin. Let's know about integrin. It is a major cell matrix adhesion molecule. Example A1 integrin, B1 integrin like this. Let's know about cellular adhesions in eukaryote. Eukaryotic protozoans express multiple adhesion molecules. An example of a pathogenic protozoan is the material parasite, which uses one adhesion molecule called the circumsporozoite protein to bind to liver cells and another adhesion molecule called the merozoite surface protein to bind red blood cells. In human cells, which have many different types of adhesion molecules, the major classes are named integrins, IG superfamily members, cadherins and selectins. Each of these adhesion molecules has a different function and recognizes different ligands. Defects in cell adhesion are usually attributable to defects in expression of adhesion molecules. Cell junctions allow cells to adhere. There are four types of cell junctions: anchoring junctions, which transmit stress through tethering to cytoskeleton, or cell-cell or cell matrix. Concluding junctions, which seal gap between cells, making an impermeable barrier. Channel forming junction. Channel forming junctions occur gap junctions, which links cytoplasm of adjacent cells. Signal relaying junction. That means signal relaying junction synapses in nervous system. Cell-cell adhesions in anchoring junctions are mediated by cadherins. Cell matrix adhesions, however, are usually mediated by integrins. Selective cell-cell adhesion enables vertebrate cells to assemble into organized tissues. Homophilic attachment allows selective recognition, resulting cells of a similar type stick together, whereas cells of a different type stay segregated. Prokaryotes. Prokaryotes have adhesion molecules usually termed adhesins. Adhesins may occur on pili, fimbriae, flagellae, or the cell surface. Adhesion of bacteria is the first step in colonization and regulates tropism. That means tissue or cell specific interactions. Now come to viruses. Viruses also have adhesion molecules required for viral binding to host cells. For example, influenza virus has a hemagglutinin on its surface that is required for recognition of the sugar sialic acid on Host cell surface molecules. HIV has an adhesion molecule TRMEDGP 120 that binds to its ligand CD4, which is expressed on lymphocytes. Differential adhesion hypothesis. Let's know about differential adhesion hypothesis. The adhesion hypothesis is a theory of cell adhesion advanced by Malcolm Stenborg in 1964 to explain the mechanism by which heterotypic cells in mixed aggregates sort out into isotypic territories. The DAH postulates that tissues are viscoelastic liquids and as such possess measurable tissue surface tensions. These surface tensions have been determined for a variety of tissues including embryonic tissues and cell lines. The surface tensions correspond to the mutation sorting behavior. The tissue type with the higher surface tension will occupy an internal position relative to a tissue with a lower surface tension. Quantitative difference in homo and heterotypic adhesion are supposed to be sufficient to account for the phenomenon without the need to postulate cell type specific adhesion systems fairly generally accepted, although some specific cell adhesion molecules are now known to exist. Now let's know about integrins. Integrins allow connection between the extracellular matrix with the cytoskeleton of the cell. They also can mediate cell-cell interactions, basically made up of an alpha and a beta subunit, 17 types of a chain, 8 types of beta chains. These alpha-beta complexes act as receptor to specific matrix components. Example alpha 1, beta 1, collagen and laminin, alpha 5, beta 1, fibronectin. Cells will regulated by up or down regulated expression of these integrins. Activation of these integrins can promote cell signaling. Example formation and activation of focal adhesion triggers a cascade initiated by focal adhesion kinase, that is FAK, which modulates cell growth and motility. Integrins can also form very specific adhesive junctions. Now come to clinical implications. Dysfunction of cell adhesion and cell migration occurs during cancer metastasis. Cellular adhesion and traction can allow cells to migrate. Cells can form integrin mediated attachment sites called focal adhesions. Focal adhesions at the leading edge provide the necessary traction, allowing the cell to pull itself forward. Pemphigus is the result of autoantibodies which target desmosomal cadherins, results in loss of cell adhesion. Now come to extracellular matrix. Let's know about extracellular matrix. There are three components of the extracellular matrix: ECM, insoluble collagens. Structural framework of the ECM provides strength and resiliency. Proteoglycans, that is cushion cells, adhesive matrix proteins, bind these components to receptors on the cell surface. Different combinations result in unique ECM compositions which can directly affect the activity of activity certain signaling paths on or off. Also, the ECM is capable of sequestering growth factors and hormones by binding them and making them unavailable to turn cellular signaling on or off. Cell adhesions, it is a complex of more than 20 proteins and can increase and decrease based on physical stress. Hemidesmosomes, that means intermediate filaments to collagens and laminins. Example include epithelial cells. Now come to principles of cell communication. Let's know about principles of Cell communication mechanisms enabling one cell to influence the behavior of another almost certainly existed in the world of unicellular organisms long before multicellular organisms appear on Earth. First point is extracellular signal molecules bind to specific receptors. Extracellular signal molecules can act over either short or long distances. Autocrine signaling can coordinate decisions by groups of identical cells. Gap junction allow signaling information to be shared by neighboring cells. Each cell is programmed to respond to specific combinations of extracellular signal molecules. Sixth point is different cells can respond differently to the same extracellular signal molecules. Seventh point is the concentration of a molecule can be adjusted quickly only if the lifetime of the molecule is short. Eighth point is some intracellular signaling protein act as molecular switches. Ninth point is intracellular signaling complexes enhance the speed, efficiency, and specificity of the uh, response. Tenth point is interactions between intracellular signaling proteins are mediated by modular binding domains. 11th point is cells can respond abruptly to a gradually increasing concentration of an extracellular signal. 12th point is a cell can resemble the effect of some signals. 13th point is cells can adjust their sensitivity to a signal. Let's know about gap junctions. Almost all cells have specialized junctions that allow the free passage of materials back and forth. These junctions are called gap junctions. They are made up of a channel protein called connection. Connections to form channels between two cells. One important compound small enough to traverse this junction is second messenger CAMP. It also allows passage of calcium ions and other ions crucial to signaling, that is sodium phosphate. These gaps are not free swinging gates and they actually open and close in response to ion concentrations, thereby restricting the flow of too many ions. They also exclude materials based on size. Hematopoiesis and its regulation. Hematopoiesis is a complex process in which hematopoietic stem cells self replicate and differentiate to generate all the different mature blood cells. Under steady state conditions, stem cells and hematopoietic progenitor cells reside in the bone marrow medullary cavity in contact with the bone marrow microenvironment. Most, if not all, the factors required for the orderly development of stem cells are present in the BM microenvironment. That means bone marrow. BM in short, BM means bone marrow. These include mesenchymal cells as well as other hematopoietic cells that secrete hematopoietic cytokines and extracellular matrix components. More than 40 different growth factors, cytokines, and chemokines interact with stem and progenitor cells through specific receptors and regulate proliferation, differentiation, and cell fate. Hematopoietic growth factors are produced by mesenchymal cells, and hematopoietic cells are present in cell bound forms bound to the extracellular matrix or in solution. Stem and progenitor cells express adhesion receptors that provide specific cell-cell and cell ECM interactions. Aside from retaining stem and progenitor cells in the in the bone marrow, engagement of adhesion receptors on stem and progenitor cells by BM stromal ligands also plays an important role in the regulation of the hematopoietic process. Adhesive interactions serve as growth or survival signals but also may modulate growth factor dependent signals. In addition, cytokines and growth factors affect adhesive interactions between stem and progenitor cells and their adhesive ligands in the bone marrow, providing a further level of regulation of hematopoiesis. More than 20 different adhesion receptors have been identified on stem and progenitor cells. Based on domain structure and function, adhesion molecules can be divided into integrin, cadherin, selectins, members from the mucin-like family and members of the immunoglobulin family of receptors. B1 and B2 integrins are responsible for interactions between cells and extracellular matrix components such as fibronectin, collagen, laminin, and thrombosporin or cell surface expressed adhesion molecules including vascular cell adhesion molecule that is 1 and intercellular adhesion molecule ICAM. Progenitors also express the sialomucin CD34, CD43, CD45 are a P-selectin ligand 1, PSGL1, CD164 and podocalcin like protein 1, PCLP1. It is believed that adhesion molecule contribute to retention of stem and progenitor cells in the BM bone marrow and are essential for homing of stem and progenitor cells to the bone marrow. Besides their role in trafficking and location, adhesion receptors transmit signals from the extracellular milieu into the cell. Aside from anchoring cells in a given microenvironment, adhesion receptors also play an important role in regulation of cell behavior either through direct activation of signal pathway important for cell survival, cell growth and cell-fed decision making process or by modulating response to growth factors. Let's know about neurotransmission and its regulation. Neurotransmission and its regulation. The presynaptic neuron releases neurotransmitter which activates receptors on the postsynaptic cell dark. Neurotransmission, also called synaptic transmission, is the process by which signaling molecules called neurotransmitters are released by a neuron and binds to and activate the receptors of another neurons. Neurotransmission usually takes place at a synapse and occurs when an axon potential is initiated in the presynaptic neuron. The binding of neurotransmitters to receptor in the postsynaptic neuron can trigger either short-term changes like changes in the membrane potential called postsynaptic potentials or longer-term changes by the for the propagation of signals. These signals are sent to and from the central nervous system via efferent and afferent neurons in order to coordinate smooth skeletal and cardiac muscles, bodily secretions, and organ functions critical for the long term survival of multicellular vertebrate organisms such as mammals. Let's know about stages in neurotransmission at the synapse. Synthesis of the neurotransmitter. First point is synthesis of the neurotransmitter. This can take place in the cell body, in the axon or in the axon terminal. Storage of the neurotransmitter in storage granules or vesicles in the axon terminal. Calcium enters the axon terminal during an action potential, causing release of the neurotransmitter into the synaptic cleft. After its release, the transmitter binds to and activates a receptor in the postsynaptic membrane. Deactivation of the neurotransmitter, that means the neurotransmitter is either destroyed enzymatically or taken back into the terminal form from which it came, where it can be reused or degraded and removed. Now come to summation. Each neuron is connected with numerous other neurons, receiving numerous impulses from them. Summation, summation is the adding together of these impulses at the axon hillock. If the neuron only gets excitatory impulses, it will also generate an axon potential. But if the neuron gets as many inhibitory as excitatory impulses, the inhibition cancels out the excitation and the nerve impulse will stop there. Summation takes place at the axon hillock. Spastic summation means several firing on different places of the neuron that in themselves are not strong enough to cause a neuron to fire. However, if they fire simultaneously, their combined effects will cause an action potential. Temporal summation means several firings at the same place that won't cause an action potential if they have a pause in between. But when there are several firings in rapid succession, they will cause the neuron to reach the threshold for excitation. Now come to convergence and divergence. Let's know about convergence and divergence. Neurotransmission implies both a convergence and a divergence of information. First, one neuron is influenced by many others, resulting in a convergence of input. When when the neuron fires the signal is sent to many other neurons, resulting in a divergence of output. Many other neurons are influenced by these neurons. Let's know about co-transmission. Co-transmission is the release of several types of neurotransmitters from a single nerve terminal. Co-transmission allows for more complex effects at postsynaptic receptors and thus allows for more complex communication to occur between neurons. Some neurons can release at least uh, two neurotransmitters at the same time, the other being a co-transmitter in order to provide the stabilizing negative feedback required for meaningful encoding in the absence of inhibitory interneurons. Examples include GABA, that means glycine co-release. Let's know about neurotransmitter. A chemical can be classified as a neurotransmitter if it meets the it meets many conditions like, let's know about the points. First is there are there are precursors and all synthesis enzymes located in the presynaptic side of the synapse. Second point is the chemical is present in the presynaptic element. Third point is it is available in sufficient quantity in the presynaptic neuron to affect the postsynaptic neuron. Fourth point is there are postsynaptic receptors and the chemical is able to bind to them. Fifth point is a biochemical mechanism for inactivation is present. Now come to types of neurotransmitters. There are many different ways to classify neurotransmitters, dividing them into amino acids, peptides, and monoamines is sufficient for some classification purposes. Let's know about major neurotransmitters. First is amino acids. Example glutamate, aspartate, D serine, Y amino butyric acid, that is GABA, glycine. Next is monoamines and other biogenic amines, dopamine, DA, norepinephrine, noradrenaline, NA, epinephrine, that is adrenaline, histamine, serotonin, others acetylcholine, adenosine, anandamide, nitric oxide, etc. Let's know about the actions. As explained, as I explained, The only direct action of a neurotransmitter is to activate a receptor. Therefore, the effects of a neurotransmitter system depend on the connections of the neurons that use the transmitter and the chemical properties of the receptors that the transmitter binds to. Here are a few examples of neurotransmitter actions. Let's know about the examples. First is glutamate is used at the great majority of fast excitatory synapses in the brain and spinal cord. It is also used at most synapses that are modifiable, that is capable of increasing and decreasing in strength. Modifiable synapses are thought to be the main memory storage elements in the brain. Excessive glutamate release can lead to excitotoxicity, causing cell death. GABA is used at the great majority of fast inhibitory synapses in virtually every part of the brain. Many sedative, tran- uh, tranquilizing drugs act by enhancing the effects of GABA. Correspondingly, glycine is the inhibitory transmitter in the spinal cord. Acetylcholine is distinguished as the transmitter at the neuromuscular junction connecting motor nerves to muscles. The paralytic arrow poison cure acts by blocking transmission at these synapses. Acetylcholine also operates in many regions of the brain but using different types of receptors. Dopamine has a number of important functions in the brain. It plays a critical role in the reward system, but dysfunction of the dopamine system is also implicated in Parkinson's disease and schizophrenia. Serotonin is a monoamine neurotransmitter. Most of it is produced by and found in the intestine, approximately 90%, and the remainder in central nervous system neurons. It functions to regulate appetite, sleep, memory, and learning, temperature, mood, behavior, muscle contraction, and function of the cardiovascular system and endocrine system. It is speculated to have a role in depression, as some depressed patients are seen to have lower concentrations of metabolites of serotonin in their cerebrospinal fluid and brain tissue. Substance P is an undeseptide responsible for transmission of pain from certain sensory neurons to the central nervous system. Neurons expressing certain types of neurotransmitters sometimes form distinct systems where activation of the system affects large volumes of the brain called volume transmission. Major neurotransmitter systems include the noradrenaline, that means norepinephrine system, the dopamine system, the serotonin system, and cholinergic system. Now come to drugs as a regulator. Dr- Drugs as the regulators. Drugs targeting the neurotransmitter of such systems affect the whole system. This fact explains the complexity of action of some drugs. Cocaine, for example, blocks the reuptake of dopamine back into the presynaptic neurons, leaving the neurotransmitter molecules in the synaptic gap longer. Since the dopamine remains in the synapse longer, the neurotransmitter continues to bind to the receptors on the postsynaptic neuron, exciting a pleasurable emotional response. Physical addiction to cocaine may result from prolonged exposure to excess dopamine in the synapses, which leads to the downregulation of some postsynaptic receptors. After the effects of the drug wear off, one might feel depressed because of the decreased probability of the neurotransmitter binding to a receptor. Prozac is a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, SSRI, which blocks reuptake of serotonin by the presynaptic cells. This increases the amount of serotonin present at the synapse and allows it to remain there longer, hence potentiating the effect of natural released serotonin. AMP, AMPT prevents the conversion of the tyrosine to L-dopa, the precursor to dopamine. Reserpine prevents dopamine storage within vesicles and deprenyl inhibits monoamine oxidase MAOB and thus increase dopamine levels. Decreases may affect specific neurotransmitter systems. For example, Parkinson's disease is at least in part related to failure of dopaminergic cells in deep brain nuclei. For example, the substantia nigra treatments potentiating the effect of dopamine precursors have been proposed and affected with moderate success. Degradation and elimination. The neurotransmitter must be broken down once it reaches the postsynaptic cell to prevent further excitatory or inhibitory signal transduction. For example, acetylcholine, an excitatory neurotransmitters, is broken down by acetylcholine esterase. Choline is taken off and recycled by the presynaptic neuron to synthesize more ACH. Other neurotransmitters such as dopamine are able to diffuse away from their targeted synaptic junctions and are eliminated from the body via the kidneys or destroyed in the liver. Each neurotransmitter has very specific degradation pathways at regulatory proteins which may be the target of the body's own regulatory system or recreational drug. Completed. Thank you.